interested in seeing what him and Quinn Ewers do this year. There's been so much hype.
We should have a pretty dangerous running back in Blake Corum.
Maryland's gone. Talia Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
A little too backyard footballish.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And ladies and gentlemen, it is Saturday morning. You know what that means. That means there's some college football on in a couple hours. And that also means I'm here with my guy, Mr. Alex Loosemore. What up, Alex?
Not too much, man. Really excited for all the games we got today and everything we got to talk about. There's a lot of stuff to catch up on.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we appreciate you guys being with us. We apologize. We weren't able to be here a week ago. I was in the great state of Michigan with Kate, who actually is not with us today. She will be at the big house again as they play unranked but undefeated Maryland. We'll definitely bring that up. Are you nervous? You talking to me. You say you're a little nervous.
Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous. It's the first test. There's a lot of talent on that Maryland team. They're no slouch anymore, so definitely a little nervous.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So I am excited and ready to get into some of this college football. But it's like we said, we've been away for a while, and since we've been gone, couple things that we said in the beginning of the year might possibly happen sooner rather than later have happened. Scott Frost was fired from Nebraska, and Herm Edwards was also let go unceremoniously, if I don't say so myself. But let's get into this.
Understatement.
Yeah, let's get into that Scott Frost really quickly. We saw this coming. He came in to the season already on the hot seat. I don't want to surprise is not the right word, but what do you think about this?
I was a little surprised it happened so early. That's where I think the surprise came, because I thought they were going to handle those first two games, and they really did not.
Yes.
So as soon as they lost to Northwestern, we're like, okay, like one more, and he's kind of gone. And lo and behold, it happened the next week. So, it seemed like they didn't really care if Scott kept his job or not. The rest of the organization, it was kind of like, we're ready for a change. Like,
and it was rough to see. And like you said, even when it happened, even though we had talked about it all season, we had talked about it coming into the year, even when it happened, it was still kind of like, all right, no matter how we feel and how much we might have called for it to happen, it's still kind of like, dang, 2 games in? Like, come
2
on,
games in.
So, hey, we'll see what happens with him going forward. I don't know if he's on the top of many people's list, but this guy, hey, he was a great player. Maybe it just didn't translate necessarily with that team. Who knows what's going to happen? He'll probably turn up somewhere else. But somewhere that I am very upset about, this next move, Alex, I am disgusted on how they did this. Herm Edwards was let go from the University of Arizona State. But the way they did it, not behind closed doors, not even after the game, technically, he's still on the field. They met the man in the end zone. The AD met him and told him this is what's happening. And the worst part about it, somebody had the audacity to film this. Alex, man, talk to me. This is disgusting, man.
The whole situation is disgusting, because not only does that happen where you can't have that closed door conversation, everyone sees it as it's happening, just horribly handled all the way across the board there. But then you get the leaks a couple days later that assistant coaches are leaking information to other teams and trying to get this guy fired. And it's just, were things that bad there that
right.
this had to happen this way, or like what? Like we need to know more about what's going on. I feel the way this happened.
Yeah,
that was awful.
Look, we got to go back and dive into what his record was, and but they weren't losing; they weren't perennial losers. We had guys that came out of Arizona State. A couple years ago, he went to New England.
Oh, N'Keal Harry.
N'Keal Harry was dominant out of there. Ito Benjamin, if I'm not mistaken, was dominant out of there.
Rashawn White that just went to the Bucks. You had Jaden Daniels that was good, just transferred to LSU.
Exactly.
Like, you had talent there.
I just don't understand what it was that made them do that to them. Even if you're going to do that, even if you're saying, okay, we're not okay with where things are going, and maybe even with this year, you still got to respect the man enough to kind of, like you said, do it, close doors, talk to him. He is we know what he's done in the NFL. We know what he's done coaching in college. Give the man that respect. Come on now. That's
And even if he didn't have the track record that he has, just be a respectful human being.
Yeah.
Go about it the right way. Don't dump him on the field and just walk away. Like, yeah, it's awful all across the board. It's not a good look for the school.
No. And it's one of those things where, they got Utah today, and they're 1-2 in the season. You come on, guys. Show some class. This guy was a solid coach. And yes, I get it. They come into the year playing Oklahoma State. We know what kind of team they are with Spencer Sanders and everything. They crushed Northern Arizona, but then lose to maybe somebody they should have lost to in Eastern Michigan in a 9-point game, in a close game. And it makes you just, makes you wonder what they were looking for, what seemed to be so wrong. Maybe the fit wasn't right, but do it the right way, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The way that all happened, they better show up and play well today.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't want him that bad and they were tanking to get him out. They better show up today.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. What's up, Kyle? Saying first. Sometimes I get really lonely. I remember I got friends like you. The heart goes through. Come on now. Let's go. Every day, baby. Every single day. I love it. Yeah. So these guys on the hot seat are actually off the hot seat. Maybe thankful to them. Maybe they're not worried about their job, not looking over their shoulder. And we still know, hey, there's some other coaches that are still kind of sizzling over there. Harsin,
looking at Jeff Collins for sure.
Jeff Collins as well. You know what I mean? Guys that are not, got some matchups today that, they need to get the W. We know about Brian Harsin in Auburn, and he lost. He got stomped by Penn State a week ago.
Yeah, and then demolished.
So look, hey, it can happen. Apparently, these ADs are getting more brazen, and they're doing it earlier in the season. So, hey, stay on your P's and Q's, ladies and gentlemen. Stay on your P's and Q's. Who is the Dallas Cowboys of college football?
Oh, there's a few answers. I have in mind.
There's a couple. Yeah, what do you have? Because
the first one to me was Miami.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I was gonna
Texas.
Say Texas. Yeah, that's where I was gonna go. I was gonna say stay right in that state.
Yeah. USC, kinda.
Yeah, recently.
Yeah. I mean, no, it can't be Alabama because Alabama actually shows up.
They win. There's a couple, Kyle.
Yeah.
There's definitely a couple, but none of them we hate as much as we hate the Dallas Cowboys.
Agreed.
But ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you being here with us. This is Let's Talk College Football. And yes, it's Saturday, but one of the best parts of college football is there's games on Thursday and there's games on Friday. Let's start with Thursday and a team that started off the season and so got their season back on track, if you will. They were 1-2, which surprised me. But West Virginia crushes 2-1 at the time. Virginia Tech 33-10. Like I said, I came into this game thinking West Virginia was better than they are. I didn't know I wasn't looking at the records. I thought West Virginia was higher because of that first game. And then everything I've seen from Virginia Tech was the loss to ODU. So in my mind, their season is done. It's over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you see this, what did you think about this game? And what did you think about this?
Yeah, so like looking at West Virginia, I mean, obviously they played Pitt, and that was an awesome game. Yeah. Kansas shocked the world. They went to overtime with them, but Kansas is undefeated, so that doesn't look as bad.
Exactly.
And then you destroyed Towson. So I'd say West Virginia's competition has been better. I mean, they didn't lose to Old Dominion, but to me, West Virginia was one of the better 1 and 2 teams in the country. Yeah. So the score doesn't surprise me too much. This is kind of what I expected, just based on what Virginia Tech showed us this year. But they're a much better team than Virginia Tech.
Oh yeah, and look, and we're not saying that Virginia Tech doesn't have players; they have studs all around.
They're good.
You know, but they're still a young team. They're under a new first-year head coach. They're still trying to get it together. West Virginia, led by the transfer quarterback JT Daniels, had over 200 yards and a touchdown. Kind of pedestrian when you really break it down, but still getting the job done. But the guy that we talked about once before, definitely want to bring him up again, true freshman, CJ Donaldson. Over 100 yards again on 23 carries, has almost 5 yards a carry. The guy is consistently moving the ball down the field, and towards the middle of that game where it was a little closer, where it kind of looked like it could go either way, he was that difference in my opinion. When the passing game necessarily wasn't taking the top off the defense, he was consistently getting those third and shorts, fourth and shorts, where he's constantly moving the ball down the field and keeping and chewing up that clock. And that was huge for West Virginia. And then look, late in the game, they put it away. And then towards the end, got the pick 6 by the true freshman corner. And that was all she wrote right there. That was all she wrote. This is an old school Big East matchup, man.
It really was, yeah. Yeah.
You know, brings me back to those good old days, man. I miss it, man. I miss it. We got Syracuse. UConn was in there, West Virginia, Miami, FSU back in the day, man. Come on now. Those were the days. Well, that wasn't the only game that went on last night. There was on Thursday night. There's 2 others. Coastal Carolina stays undefeated, beating Georgia State 41-24. Alex, I've heard a lot about Georgia State over the last couple weeks. You know, obviously with the ups, coming in and playing some games, almost getting upsets and this and that. I haven't heard anything about Coastal, and they're quietly 4-0.
Yeah, you look at it, if you look draft eligible players, like Grayson McCall is one of those kind of up and coming quarterbacks that's slowly climbing the rankings. And like he had a really good game on Thursday, like 19-27. So it was accurate, getting the ball where it needed to be, almost 300 yards and a couple touchdowns, no interceptions. Yeah. So it was like he did his damage when he needed to. The running back Beasley had 142 yards on 25 carries. So it was constant offense. Yeah. Anytime they needed to move the ball, they did it willingly. Yeah. And it was just really impressive to watch.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And look, they're quietly doing it, but it's a resounding move by their offense. Like you said, getting big name yards on that offense. And Georgia State is no slouch. I talked about almost getting the upset against us. They pushed us to the wire in North Carolina. They barely lost to Charlotte. They lost them 42-41. So they've been in all these games. They are no slouch. To see them play Coastal the way they did, but Coastal at the end of the day got the W. And look, we've had the Cincinnatis. UTEP a year ago was 11-1. We know what teams like Houston can do. Is Coastal Carolina one of these teams that maybe towards the end of the year we might start having to put some votes for to be up in that upper echelon?
There's gonna be an argument to be made if they run the table, because they're gonna play some really good teams along the way, like Marshall, Appalachian State. James Madison is still undefeated. So you've got They're going to have to beat Virginia too in Virginia.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to, like, if they run the table and win all these games, there's going to be an argument to be had for sure.
Oh yeah. And so, hey, pay attention to that, ladies and gentlemen, because Coastal is definitely, like similar to a BYU, similar to when some of these teams that aren't getting as much attention, but we've seen what App State's done this year. Coastal is that type of team. You know what I mean? Let's go back to a couple years ago. Grayson McCall, I believe, was a sophomore, and they played BYU, in the 2020 year, and they were able to get the upset, and everybody was going into the game talking Zach Wilson, and at the end of the day, they started saying, Grayson McCall? Who's this guy? So he put himself on the map. So watch out for Coastal, man, because they might do something. The other game of that night was Chattanooga playing Illinois. Illinois blanking Chattanooga 31-0. Glad to see Illinois continuing to get W. And hey, Illinois 3-1. Going into Big Ten play, they need it. Let's go.
Yeah, it's a good look.
Yeah. So let's see that. Then let's move on to the Friday night games last night. Speaking of teams that are doing pretty well and under the radar, Syracuse gets the W over Virginia 22-20 off the 5 field goal game. They're undefeated.
Yeah.
I like the Qs, baby. The Orange Men. I like this. Talk to me, Alex.
They're a lot of fun to watch, and it's the main thing I got from Syracuse is the same thing the ACC's been doing all year, and it looks really good for them to get a champion into the playoff.
Yeah.
Is all these teams are hanging on. Like Syracuse is undefeated, FSU's undefeated. Like a lot of these teams that nobody expected to really do anything are doing whatever they have to do to win games.
Yep.
So that's going to look a lot better for a Clemson or a Wake Forest or North Carolina or one of these teams. Like if they kind of run the table in the ACC and take down some of these teams, it helps your resume a lot when these teams are looking this good. So I hope they can keep it up and just keep having fun football all across the board, because that conference has been a lot of fun so far. Oh, did I freeze?
We're making something happen, man. And, I was really concerned with what they were going to do. We talked about DeVito leaving and transferring out, but Schrader stepped in over 250 yards and, only 1 interception, did not get a touchdown. But you have Sean Tucker, who I've been talking about all season, getting over 100 yards from scrimmage, 60 on the ground and 45 in the air. Complimentary football on offense. Guys playing Gadsden over 7 catches over 100 yards. So the offense is making things happen. But what I say is complimentary football, special teams. Your special teams, when you get a guy that kicks Mr. Smith, getting 5 field goals and an extra point, 16 points on by himself, that's huge. A lot of people, you played O-line, I played running back, so we know what the special teams does at practice. You know what I mean? But if they come in at the right time and they do their job, then they're the best player on the field.
Oh yeah, it's one of those things where, as the special teams player, you're either the big man on campus or you're the most hated player on campus. Just based on whether you do your job or not in the clutch.
Yeah. Absolutely. Kyle saying early prediction, first quarterback off the board, which team and which QB? Ooh, I'm going to go Bryce Young, and I'm going to go, he's not going to y'all. I'm going to go Bryce Young, and I'm going to go Giants. I think they fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to go CJ Stroud. And I'm going to go with, it can't be Houston. They have the tie. That's going to bump them up.
Yeah.
I think it might be Atlanta. Just because I don't think they're going to be at the place where they can get Will Anderson.
No.
I think Chicago's going to finish worse than them. Yeah. Sorry, Nick. And then I think they get Will Anderson and they just jumpstart that rebuild. So, Atlanta, Carolina, I'm looking at. Houston, if a bunch of other teams tie or win more games than them.
Mm-hmm. Which is still very possible.
It's still very possible, yeah.
So, yeah, we will see. Appreciate the question, my guy. Yeah. So, one thing I did want to talk about really quickly, Virginia. You know, I touted them in the offseason, and especially quarterback Brennan Armstrong, but they have a new coach now. They don't have Mendenhall. Things have changed a little bit, and he's really suffered. He only had just under 200 this game, and he's used to having 400-yard games. You know, he ended it with like almost 4,500 yards a year ago.
Yeah.
I mean, the ACC, I was touting them as quarterback now, and it's not looking like that for Armstrong. Is this just this game, or should I be worried? Or
it's a tough spot because they haven't really played the best of competition. So it's a lot of schools where he should have handled that business, and he hasn't necessarily. Like Richmond, I mean, they put up 34 points. They scored in bunches, but they lost 24-3 to Illinois. They barely beat Old Dominion 16-14, and then lost this one 22-20. So it's kind of worrisome for a guy that's been so good, but it's not entirely on him either. It's
true.
Like you said, new coach. I haven't watched much of Illinois, so maybe the offensive line isn't giving as much protection. Maybe the receivers aren't getting as open or dropping passes, or there's so many different factors that go into it.
Yeah.
But I'd start to worry a little bit.
Yeah. No, yeah. I'm with you on that. And yeah, we'll see. Now, I like this for when North Carolina plays them, then yes, struggle all day long. But yeah, I do want to take a look at that. Definitely want to take a look. One other game, we also had Nevada played Air Force. Air Force blew out Nevada 48-20. But another game, Boise State was highly, highly favored against the University of Texas El Paso and lost 27-10 to the Miners. Wow. First and foremost, what happened here? I'm sorry, I did not see this coming.
Well, to me, one of the hardest things to do, I'd say the hardest thing to do in college football is go on the road and play.
Yep.
So Boise State went to El Paso. But I mean, you look at UTEP's schedule so far, they got blown out by North Texas.
Yeah.
Blown out by Oklahoma. They beat New Mexico State by a touchdown, who was arguably the worst team in college football.
Right.
That was New Mexico State, and then they lost to New Mexico. So it's like, how did you lose that Boise State? Like, that's one where if you're a Boise State fan, you hide for a week.
Right, yeah. You're like, I don't want to watch football for a while. Look, when you break it down, shout out to Harding, their quarterback, 10 of 11 for 123 yards. What that lets me know is they let him do just enough. You're doing these select plays, go out there and run it. But the biggest part about it, I had almost 200 rushing yards between four backs, including three of those backs that had over 40 yards, led by Hankins with 86 yards on 21 carries. Boise State grinded out the clock. UTEP grinded out the clock, kept the ball on the ground, and that played a huge factor, and it showed in the time of possession. They doubled up Boise State in time of possession, over 40 minutes of time of possession in that game. 322 total yards. Boise State just did not look like they looked like what we expected UTEP to look like in this game. So it really makes you wonder, because even Bachmeier, the quarterback for Boise State, didn't even get over 100 yards passing. So we're talking about
34,
right?
As well.
We talk about coaches on the hot seat.
You might want to add their coach.
You get a performance like this. This is just not something that you want to see. It brings down Boise State to 2-2, but gives UTEP a little hope. 2-3, baby. 2-3. Now, if we can get one more New Mexico or one more Boise or so, I mean, but
there's a few of those games on their schedule.
They got some Rice, they got FIU, UTSA that's 1-2. That is very surprising.
Now UTSA has played much tougher teams, but
very true, very very true. But like you said, they have a schedule where they should make some moves, but this is definitely a bright spot for them early in the season, and hopefully something they can build off of for sure. For sure. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, those were our Thursday and Friday night games. But we have to move on to today. We got to move on to the big game. But before we do that, since we've been going, a lot of things have changed. And namely, one of those things being the top 25. So here it is: Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson, OU, SC, Kentucky, Oklahoma State, Arkansas, Tennessee, NC State, Utah, Penn State, and Oregon, Ole Miss, Baylor, Washington and BYU, and Florida, and Wake, Texas, Texas A&M, Pitt, and Miami. Looking at that, just off first glance, you guys are at 4. What are your thoughts about the positioning in that?
I'm happy with 4. We haven't played anybody, but we've done what we needed to do. We handled our business against those teams in dominant fashion. So a lot of these top teams, nobody's played anybody. I mean, Alabama played Texas, but that's about it for those top. I guess Ohio State played Notre Dame. Yeah. But the majority of those top schools, unfortunately, don't play anybody right off the bat. So it's kind of once we get to this time, once we start conference play and everything, that's where you kind of start to thin the herd a little bit. Mm-hmm. The top 7 doesn't surprise me. Kentucky surprised me a little bit. Just I didn't think they'd be this high this early, but so much has happened. Same with Arkansas. I was actually one of those people. Tennessee doesn't surprise me. Mm-hmm. I was high enough on them early in that I thought they'd be fine. Penn State, I'm a little surprised by. I didn't think they'd be this good this quick. Mm-hmm. Ole Miss is there. Baylor. Washington surprised me just how bad they were the last couple of years. It's a quick flip. Michael Penix Jr. is playing very well there.
Yeah, he definitely turned them around.
Yeah, they're handling their business. BYU, tough loss. Florida, 1 tough loss. Wake Forest is kind of right where I thought they'd be. I thought they'd be kind of that bottom part of the top 25. Texas, to me, I know they have that loss, but you went toe-to-toe with Alabama. I would throw them higher, personally.
Absolutely.
As much as we hate on Texas for always being back, they're better than the 22nd best team in college football, I think.
Right.
A&M, Pitt, and Miami, they've all had that 1 tough loss.
Yep.
A&M had the worst loss, obviously, but they're probably the better team of all 3 of them. Mm-hmm. So, I'm fine overall with the majority of the top 25.
Yeah.
And then just those teams right on the outside, you've got Michigan State, Florida State, Appalachian State, and North Carolina all right on that edge there. They're all
right there, baby.
They all handle their business this week. They might all climb in.
Oh yeah. Now North Carolina playing Notre Dame, and we'll talk about that a little later. I felt peace and calm a week ago. I didn't have to stress about a game, so yeah, I'm not gonna bring that back. But hey, let's start early. Obviously, Georgia playing Kent State. Nah, we already know that's not even gonna be on TV because they're
don't watch it if you have it. Don't
right, no, they're not broadcasting that. But if we go to even number 2 in a game that in most years is definitely a blowout, you got number 2 Alabama versus Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt being 3-1, only losing to Wake Forest. In all reality, I can't sit here and say that Vanderbilt's gonna really threaten Alabama. But Clark Lee's got those guys motivated. He's got those guys playing good, but it's a freshman quarterback that's going to be starting for them.
In Tuscaloosa, too.
Right. Is there any hope I can have in this one? I don't know.
Unfortunately, I don't think so. Vanderbilt's a good football team. They're not that good.
Yeah.
Now, I think the 40.5 point spread they're giving Alabama is kind of ridiculous. I think like 3-4 touchdowns. They'll handle them, but Who knows? Maybe Alabama surprises us and beats them by like 50. But
We'll see.
I don't see it. I see it being closer than most years, but it's still Alabama's never going to worry about this game.
No. And I'm hoping for Vanderbilt that they can.
I'm praying. I'm just like, come on, Vanderbilt.
Stay till halftime. If you can get till halftime, that's a victory in my book, guys. Come on.
And then you never know what can happen.
Exactly. Any given weekend, and this is one of those type of games. So we shall see. We are not that crazy where we're going to go out there and say Vandy's going to win. But hey, we're going to keep an eye on it for sure. Another game that we're definitely keeping an eye on. One level below is the number 3 Ohio State in the all black versus Wisconsin, and that Heisman hopeful Braylon Allen. This is a game that I honestly think Wisconsin, they might shock some people. I think they could pull off this upset, man. What do you think?
If they're going to pull off this upset, Braylon Allen has to have like 30, 35 carries.
He's got to go.
You have to keep that offense off the field of Ohio State. You have to play physical. You have to push it right down their throat. And you have to play solid defensively. Luckily enough, that's Wisconsin's MO for the last decade and a half. Exactly. So I think they could do it. I still have Ohio State winning this game by double digits. But again, come on, Wisconsin, do something here.
Give us something. And look, it's going to have to be a ball-controlled attack. Like you said, Braylon Allen's going to have to definitely run for a lot of yards. And time of possession is going to be key. Keep Smith and Jigba, Travion Henderson, Marvin Harrison Jr., and C.J. Stroud off of the field and keep running the ball. Hopefully, we can get Wisconsin going, because if you get in a shootout, you're not. I don't know if you're going to be that offense.
Graham Mertz ain't that guy. He's not.
Nah, they're not going to be able to hold up with Ohio State. So this is going to be an interesting one. But this has major implications, because obviously Ohio State needs to continue to win, just like another team. Your team needs to continue to win, and they are playing undefeated Maryland. Woo! This is going to be quite interesting. Back in the big house, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I was in the big house a week ago with Kate, who was there today. It was an amazing experience. One of the best stadiums I've ever seen and been in. It is. You see it on TV, and TV will never, ever, 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 ever do it justice.
Yeah.
Being there, we have videos with where we saw the whole football team get off the bus and go into the big house with your boy John Harbaugh, and he wasn't wearing khakis. He was not wearing khakis, and it was crazy. We were right there. Kat and Kate actually got to take a picture and talk to Jawan Howard, because the basketball.
I'm so jealous about that.
Oh man, you gotta come, and there's so many people there that you would love to meet and talk to. But it was such a beautiful stadium, and I mean, just huge. The aura, everything that you heard about it is absolutely true. That's definitely a game you want to see, and it's going to be live today, going up against Maryland, a team that you've said NFL type talent at wide receiver. Our intro video has you talking about Tagovailoa. Is this a threat today? Like, is this going to be something where it's a 34-27, or is it 45-21 late in the third?
This is such a tough one to call, because we haven't seen Michigan play anybody yet. Yeah. Blake Corum said it in his press conference on Monday or Sunday, or right after the game on Saturday, whatever it was, is we don't know how good we are yet, because we haven't faced any adversity whatsoever. So it seems like these guys are locked in, ready to go, and they're not feeling themselves a little too much. But to me, this is the definition of a trap game.
Yeah.
Maryland's salivating to get into this game and show the world what they can do, because you want to talk about a team that's back. Maryland is back.
Yep.
You got Talia Tagovailoa, Rakeem Jarrett, I had just Dante Demas. You've got so many talented players, especially on offense, but that defense isn't a slouch either. No. They can limit your offense. So there's all this hype on Corum and McCarthy and all these guys. Offensively, you better show up today and do your job. Yeah. But defensively, we've seen the pass rush and everything do well, and the corners are playing exceptionally well. But again, You haven't played anybody. These corners are going to be tested today. The secondary will be taken to its limit, I think.
Yeah.
I kind of feel the same way as the Ohio State-Wisconsin game. I think Michigan will win by double digits, but it's not going to be as dominant as some people expect, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I go back to the same things that I said about Wisconsin and Maryland. You got to keep the ball on the ground. We know about the air attack, but I am not as worried about y'all secondary against their air attack, even though, they are solid. I'm more worried about the ball control. We know Roman Hemby a week ago had over 100 yards. He has almost 303 touchdowns this year, but he's averaging 9 yards a carry. Now, mind you, that's against a Buffalo. That's against SMU. You know what I mean? These are not, top quality programs, but at the same time, he's still moving that ball, getting, I believe, over 150 a week ago. So I'm interested to see if that running game can continue to push the ball down the field, continue to draw some of your defense in the box, so then maybe they can take a shot and actually utilize some of those top tier talent at wide receiver, because that's going to be huge, keeping you guys off the field. And the other thing, obviously, I want to see something I've talked to you about, something we'll talk about later, your quarterback. JJ McCarthy's getting all this hype. Now he's up here in the Heisman odds, and Kate's been singing his praises and everything. Even when we were there at Michigan Stadium, you saw the ESPN cameras going around, and when he came out of the bus, you saw there was a camera guy, and then there was a guy that was kind of like the PR guy that was kind of saying, okay, take a picture of this guy, take a picture of this guy. When McCarthy came out, the PR guy was like, that guy, that guy. You know what I mean? And McCarthy knew it. So McCarthy looked back and then kind of did one of those into the camera. Like, you know what I mean? He understands it, and I think he's going to be good in the moment. But I want to see him have a Heisman moment. I want to see him, really make something happen today, because today I think is going to be, like you said, a true test.
Oh, absolutely. So anyone that's expecting a blowout here, watch the game. You'll see otherwise, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we will definitely see. And look, those are just a couple of the major ones, but there's a number of other games on this slate that are going to be absolutely amazing. Arkansas, Texas A&M,
that's going to be a really good game. Really good game now. In Jerry World.
Right. Texas A&M, we've seen they lost to App State, who you and I have both said are no slouches. People need to stop sleeping on them. Stop calling them a sneaky team. This is a top quality program who is proving it week in and week out. This is the type of program where if we had a 12 team, they need to be in there.
They're in there for sure.
Oh, absolutely. They can play with any team in the country, and they're proving it week in and week out, and they proved it against Texas A&M. And now you got Arkansas on the other side, who a week ago, Missouri State gave them a whole heck of a lot of trouble. So what am I seeing today? I got two teams that are kind of, I don't want to say in limbo, but they need a W today.
Yeah, both of these teams absolutely do. Being in the SEC with one loss, you get that second one, your season's over already.
Yep.
So a lot of these teams that they have a puncher's chance still in that SEC, whether people like it or not. A&M beat Alabama last year. So, you've got these teams that still have their chance. Arkansas, again, is going to have to dominate the ground game.
Yep.
Like they did against South Carolina and all these other teams. Pound that rock with your quarterback, with your running back, doesn't matter who it is. Control this game. And for A&M, they're the more talented team. They absolutely are. Number one recruiting class. They've been up near the top of the recruiting class for the last and pretty much since Jimbo's been there. Use that talent.
Yeah. Get
this job done, get back up in the rankings, and get a quality win again. Because for A&M, you start building that resume. You beat Miami. You beat Arkansas now, and you start collecting these big-time W's. Then you have a conversation to be in.
Yeah.
But if you, like I said, either team loses this game today, season's over.
Yeah. Yeah. And as long as we still have this just Final Four, and you basically have to win your conference, you're gonna need a miracle. A bunch of teams losing out in order for you. You're gonna need so much help. So you got to get the W. Period. Point blank. So let's see if that can happen. Alex, I'm gonna come to you, man. we know there's a number of teams in the top 25, some that are playing big name matchups and some that are maybe not playing what other people would consider big name matchups. What are some of the games you're looking for today?
So for me, Oregon, Washington State, I think could be sneaky good. Mm-hmm. That conference game, Oregon's been they've been really good other than when they got dominated by Georgia. I think that's absolutely a good one there. Tennessee, Florida, I think is going to be an unreal game. 11 versus 20 there. And the other one I'm kind of looking at here, 17th ranked Baylor going on the road to Iowa State. They have them as the underdogs.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I think Baylor's going to go in and handle their business there, but that's another one that's kind of like, maybe that's not what people are going to expect today.
Yeah. I mean, you got to look back. You got to look at, like I had said before, you look at Iowa State. They put up 42 against Southeast Missouri State. Okay. They were able to win a slugfest with Iowa. And I'm just talking just gut shots, just hitting in, 15 rounder. They won 10-7 against a very, very stacked defense of Iowa, and then blow out Ohio again. Two of those teams might be considered cupcakes. Baylor is not that. This will be definitely a test, and we're going to see. We know Breece Hall is gone. We know Brock Purdy is gone. Both those are in the NFL. You got Deckers coming in here. You got Brock. But the thing is, you have Xavier Hutchinson returning from a year ago. He has over 300 receiving yards. They're going to need to go to him, and he's going to need to make some big plays deep, early, and often if they're going to want to play with Baylor, because we know what Baylor's coming with. Baylor's got the offense, and most importantly, they have a defense. And this has the potential to be a blowout. But I'm trying to believe in Iowa State, man. Those Cyclones, man. I'm trying to believe in them. Hopefully, they can keep this thing close, man. I want to see that.
Oh, I hope so too. I really do.
Staying in going to the Big Ten though. Penn State, Sean Clifford and Penn State, number 14. You talked about that. They're kind of this high. We still don't look at them as Penn State. The Joe pie and all that stuff. You're always kind of like, oh, well, yeah, they are a perennial, they are a program from the past, but I mean, are they back? Talk about Texas. Is Penn State back with Franklin?
I think so. And this team is getting eerily similar to the old Saquon Barkley, James Franklin, Penn State Nittany Lions.
Yeah. It's
a team that's going in and however they have to win, they're winning.
Yeah.
Whether it's on the ground, through the air, with defense. That defense has shown up a lot this year.
Oh, yeah.
Like Joey Porter Jr. on the outside can ball. He is unreal.
Yes.
Their linebackers are playing really well. Their whole front seven. It's a team that's really clicking now. They're hitting their stride. They're playing very well. This is a nice little stepping stone game for them. Like I expect Penn State to go in and absolutely dominate this game.
Yeah.
And we're talking about. I talked about the ACC earlier and how you have all these teams. Whoever comes out of the Big Ten, first I think either Michigan or Ohio State's probably gonna run the table and get in. Then they've got wins against Penn State, Michigan State, Michigan, Wisconsin. Like some of these teams that are playing solid again. So a lot of these leagues are really helping their case to get in by having teams play so well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And look, this is a game. I don't want them to sleep on the Chippewas. There's a running back and Lou Nichols that is absolutely amazing. Over 250 yards, 5 TDs thus far this year. But like you said, Penn State is a gutsy team. We talked about how, they played Purdue early in the year, and you had, Sean Clifford
games of the year already.
Right. Had that drive where he went 6 of 7 and led his team down for the game-winning TD against Auburn. I know that was a rout, but in that first quarter, you see Sean Clifford's running down the field, and he gets absolutely mollywopped by this Auburn dude and bounces back up and says, SEC, what? You know what I mean? And I understand. SEC, it means more everything, the talent is. let's not sleep on these other conferences. Big Ten plays some tough ball, okay?
Well, and we said earlier for Penn State. Sorry, not Penn State, but we were talking about a different team. The toughest thing to do in college football is go on the road.
Yep.
You went into that stadium and handled your business dominantly against an SEC team that would still beat the majority of teams in college football today.
Yeah.
So it's like we said, don't sleep on these other conferences. They can ball just as well.
Exactly. So yeah, these, ladies and gentlemen, are a couple games. I know USC plays Oregon State. Both of these teams
don't sleep on Oregon State.
Exactly. And yo, Pac-12 is another one. Utah's ranked 13th. USC is 7th. Washington State, Oregon State, Oregon. Come on, baby.
Yeah, they're showing up. Yeah.
Let's go. Yo, I am excited. I am excited about that. Got to shout out this dude. I can't think of his name right now. I've been following him. He is a avid Oregon Duck fan. He came on there, and I first started watching him after the Georgia game because I was like, all right, you're an Oregon fan, diehard it seems. I want to hear what you have to say. And he actually broke it down. He was like, look, fans, don't jump off the bandwagon yet. We played. That's what it was supposed to look like if you played almost an NFL team. You know, they are that daggone good. And he kept talking through. He gave us keys to victory and showed what they've done in the next couple of weeks, and they haven't lost since. So shout out to him.
Good ever since.
Right. And this is one of those games that, hey, a couple injuries here and there for maybe Georgia. You play them later in the year. Who knows what happens? You've seen what they can do. Now let's see what Oregon can do. So we'll see where Oregon's going to come from later in the year. And there's so many games to touch on, but we just hit on a couple of these in the top 25, ladies and gentlemen. But I want to get into something that a lot of people were talking about. You talked about J.J. McCarthy. We talked about C.J. Stroud. We talked about Bryce Young. A lot of these guys are they're all going after one thing that Bryce had a year ago, and it's that Heisman. We're here for the Heisman Watch, ladies and gentlemen.
With team success comes individual success. So without y'all.
We are all about it. We are so ready because, ladies and gentlemen, it's never too early. Never too early to talk about the Heisman Watch. And there is a number of guys already out there. We've said a couple of these names. I'm going to put this up right here, Alex. C.J. Stroud, Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, Dylan Gabriel, Stetson Bennett, J.J. McCarthy, Spencer Sanders, Michael Penix Jr., Hendon Hooker, and Jordan Addison are on that list. Anthony Richardson has gotten some attention, which is interesting because he has no passing touchdowns, but he is definitely a baller. Talk to me about those names. Obviously, we have the ones that we know and the ones that are kind of, since they've been in college football, they've been on that list. But look, you got your boy, JJ. You got Michael Penix Jr. You know what I mean? Even Dylan Gabriel is pretty high up there. Who is your favorite right now? And kind of where do you stand with this list?
To me, I mean, as you can see with the odds there, it's kind of a 3-horse race right now with Stroud, Williams, and Young. They've kind of separated themselves. It's going to take a massive moment from Bennett or Gabriel or McCarthy or Hooker, or any of these guys to get into that race.
Yeah.
I think it is going to be one of those three of Stroud, Williams, and Young.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm leaning towards Caleb Williams right now.
Yeah.
Just with how high-powered that offense is in LA. They're scoring at will against anyone and everyone. And Stroud and Young are going to have to play some tougher defenses where I think they might struggle a little bit.
Yeah.
So to me, I feel like this is Caleb Williams' award to lose at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see if he can hang on to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like you said, you got the first two, the 1 and 3 who had it last year. Number 2, he's a bright, shiny toy, but he was also here a year ago. Honestly, and shout out to them boys in This Week in SEC. I got to shout out Stetson Bennett. Right now,
balling, man.
He is balling out. He is leading the #1 team in the country, and he looks like he is doing it, and it's easy for him. He looks like he is the right now, in my opinion, he looks like the most comfortable, the most put together QB in college football. And I mean, that's
and I don't know that it's close.
Right. So, again, a lot of this has to do with team success, and a lot of this has to do with he is the only quarterback in the country right now that has a national championship under his belt, and he's still playing. He knows what he's doing. And it kind of reminds me, Joe Burrow, the guy in the video, the first guy in the Heisman video. It reminds me because that year, the whole cigar smoke, the brash confidence and all that, that's what Stetson looks like. Even when he's coming off the field, it's like, yeah, I got this. But it's I trust my team, I trust my coaches, I trust my defense. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, well, and he's gonna have the chance to have that moment, kind of like Burrow did. He doesn't play Alabama until after it's decided, obviously. But I mean, you look at some of these teams he's got to play still: Auburn, Vanderbilt, Florida, Tennessee, Kentucky. There's a lot of opportunities to get your Heisman moment there, and I said it was going to take 1 or 2 moments for these guys to get into that race. Stetson has every opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
He just got to make it happen.
Yeah. So, he's another one where I believe it's on him. He has to make this thing happen. He has to get it done. And let's see if he can do it. Let's see if he can do it. Now, those are the front runners. Those are the ones that we think. But look, let's go into our dark horse. And hey, look, you have the hat on, okay? All the Michigan faithful would just think it criminal if you not try to make a pitch for your quarterback, JJ McCarthy. I know he hasn't played anybody, but like you said before, he has 1 or 2 plays in a game that just make you sit back in your chair like, wow. So talk to me, man. Talk to me about your guy.
It's hard because I'm trying to be realistic with it. Like, you've played like 3 or 4 quarters against absolute nobodies. But, I mean, you look at the Hawaii game, he went 11 of 12 or whatever it was, and his only incompletion was a drop pass. Hit the guy right on the numbers, he dropped it.
Yeah.
So McCarthy can make every throw, no matter where on the field, perfect touch, real nice accuracy. He's mobile. He has the highlight plays. Like you just said, even last year when he was the backup, there was 1 to 2 plays every game where it was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like he's got the talent and potential to be a future like top draft pick. He's just got to show it. And again, you want to talk about having your chance to have a moment. You've got, Maryland today, who's no slouch. You've got Penn State, Michigan State, Iowa still, Ohio State.
Yeah.
You're going to have your opportunity to have these moments, and you've got the weapons around you. Show up and make these plays.
There it is. And look, it would not be right if I also did not go Homer for my dark horse.
He's climbing, man. He's right there.
Yes. This guy, Drake May, true freshman, 72 of 97 for 930 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 1 interception. My guy is balling out each week. Yes. You want to look at the schedule? Georgia State, App State, who is definitely rising themselves. You know what I mean? FAMU. Yes, I see that. Today's going to be a huge test against Notre Dame because I think their record does not indicate how good they really are.
They're a much better team than their record shows.
Exactly. So look, Drake May, he is showing poise, he is showing confidence, and he is showing that he can ball. I mean, look, there have been times you talk the App State game, we were down 21-7 at one point, and then he jumps us up to 41-21.
Unreal.
Right. Back and forth. Even in the game a week ago, we were, I believe it was 28-21 at one particular point.
Yeah.
Drake May brings us back into the ball game and does it. He has a running game. He has a little bit of an offense, but he is able to control just the momentum, the tempo on the field. He's got the offense, and he's able to do it when in one game he didn't even have his number 1 guy, Josh Downs. So it's whoever's here, line up, let's ball. I'll find you. I absolutely love what he's bringing to the table. My early dark horse, man, Drake May, North Carolina. Keep it up, young one. Keep it up, young stuff. Let's go.
Yeah, well, I remember, I think it was the App State game, and I just partway through, like when he started having that comeback, I messaged you. I was like, "You got your guy.
Yep.
Like this is your guy." Like
Absolutely.
the dude, whether he gets into it this year or not, he's gonna be in the conversation year in and year out as long as he's there. As far as I'm concerned, the dude can ball.
He needs to. He absolutely needs to be. Now, so all right, those are our picks. Who, anybody else on this list, or maybe that's not on this list, that you might look at? I know Sam Hartman kind of fell out due to the injury, but
yeah,
he still has the talent. I know Michael Penix has hopped up on this list for his first couple of games, but it's interesting.
I don't know that he's got enough of a schedule,
right,
to climb in and have that signature moment that these other guys are gonna have.
Yeah.
So for me, he'll stay in that top 10, I think, but I don't think he'll get close enough to be a finalist.
And let me ask you this. I'm not saying, we've seen what can happen. Russell Wilson went from NC State to Wisconsin and then kind of jumped himself up in that conversation. But I don't know. Is it me, or does it kind of just still reek of that Indiana on him? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like Indiana's not when's the last time they really have had a Heisman? I got to go back to, I think it's Darnell Thompson or Anthony Thompson back in like 1990.
Yeah.
It's
been a while.
It's been a long time since they've had it. And a lot of it, like, we remember that game where he dives the pylon against Penn State and beats them. And we remember how gutsy he is. And he's had, that Michigan State game, that was a Heisman moment. He wasn't supposed to win that game. But I don't know that I don't know. Maybe I just can't keep getting past the past. But to me, he's got to do a little bit more, to kind of make me say, this is Washington. Like, you're going to have to bring Washington to the Pac-12 championship or something for me.
Yeah, he's going to have to dominate conference play. That's what he's going to have to do, plain and simple. If he wants in that conversation to be a finalist, he's going to have to do it. Another guy, don't sleep on Will Anderson.
Yes.
He's still the best overall player in college football this year.
Period. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we shall definitely see. There's still a number of people that are on here. Some people will drop off. Some people will move up. I know if Kate was on here, she would say, "You're running back, Mr. 5 touchdown, Blake Corum." And definitely want to shout him out. I think he's only one of 3 Michigan running backs to have a 5 rushing touchdown game.
Yes, Haskins last year against Ohio State.
Yeah.
And then who's the other one? It was a little bit ago. It was a little bit ago for sure. Yeah. Yeah, he balled out for sure, but I love his demeanor. Like I said, he went into that press conference and said, "We haven't played anybody. This is where it starts." So same thing with JJ. Go make those plays. Go score and go have a multiple touchdown or 200-yard game against Penn State or Michigan State or Iowa or Ohio State. Go handle your business in these games. He's got the offensive line to do it. Go do it. Go show the world who you are.
Right. Absolutely. Like the song says, let's give them something to talk about.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Give them something to talk about, because that's what's going to get you in front of the pollsters and the boosters and all these people. Give them something to talk about. Win big time games, and that starts today. That starts today for Drake May, for JJ McCarthy, for all these guys on this list. Because let it be known, you fall off once, and they will drop you just that quickly. We saw last year how at one point in the season the Heisman favorite was Matt Corral. Then he got hurt. They lost. Things kind of changed around for him. So it is interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting close to the end of the show. I will be traveling as soon as I get out of here, going to the great state of North Carolina to go see my family with Catherine. She's actually shopping right now. So, yeah. All right. I said, that's fine. I'm doing a show. We're good. Yeah. So we are going towards the end, and you know what we do because we're gutsy. The game's on the line. We don't want to tie. We want to go for 2. Speaking of Michael Penix Jr.,
Yeah.
Going to, we are just going to give you a little bit something on the way out the door. Hope you have a great college football Saturday. Alex, coming to you first. Going for two. What you got, man?
So far I've kind of stayed on the football theme. This one's going to go more life related.
Yeah.
So everyone's going through something. So if you're the person going through something, don't be afraid to reach out, ask for help, talk to somebody. Mm-hmm. If you're the person that's not going through things, check in on people, ask how they're doing. Just communicate, guys. Just talk.
Yeah, absolutely. Short and to the point. That's yeah. And let's just to piggyback on that. I'm fine. I've been on 2 shows. I'm good to go. I went in for an inspection on my car. It's supposed to be $50. Ended up being $800. So yeah, and it was my fault as a result. So it was like, oh, Sean, come on, get it together, man. Get it together. Oh my goodness gracious. So yeah, absolutely. That is definitely key, man. And everybody, nobody, do not be too big and too bad. Don't be too proud. Just sit here and talk to somebody, because most times you're going through something and they might be going through the same type of thing, and y'all both in the same boat and nobody said anything to the other person. So so definitely do it. My going for two, you want to say this. Duke plays Kansas today. It is sold out for, I think, the second time in their history. Kansas. They're both 3-0. So is UNC and Kentucky. For the first time in the history of college football, Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, UNC, 4 perennial basketball schools are 3-0 in football. Wow.
Yeah, it's insane.
This is interesting. Now, only 3 of these teams can remain 3-0, seeing that Duke and Kansas are playing each other. They can't tie, so I guess you can say that. But, no, they can't now because the overtime. Well, we'll see. I don't know. Duke, Kansas, they're undefeated. I hope Duke loses. That's just Tar Heel. North Carolina plays Notre Dame, so I need to be worried. And Kentucky plays Northern Illinois, so they should get the W. Sorry, Nicholas Rosario, but mine is this. Hey, I know what most of us have learned. They're the blue bloods in football, just like with these guys in basketball. They're not supposed to lose, and those are the games you're supposed to watch, and this and that. But I think this right here is a representation that college football evolves. You're going to have teams that you might have been terrible forever, and they are now switching up, be it the transfer portal, be it Kansas putting up 50. They're averaging 50 points a game.
Yeah.
Come on, man. What do we?
You look at like the top offenses points per game. It's like Michigan, USC, and then Kansas.
Right.
It's like, what are we doing here? Like,
it's like what? Where are we? Teams. Right. Exactly. And hey, that win against Texas a year ago was not a fluke. And maybe we shouldn't have been asking, is Texas back? Maybe we should have been asking, is Kansas here finally, right?
Yeah.
So, and I mean, hey, look, goes right along with this. JMU and App State. You go back 10, 15 years, and this is one of these games that's on like ESPN 3, on a random time.
And they were both Div 3 teams at the time. Like
Exactly. But they've moved up the ranks to being perennial powers in D3, D2, and now both D1 schools. This is actually a matchup.
Game.
Yeah, this is a matchup that I would rather see over some of these ranked matchups today.
Yep.
Because this is something I think is going to be an absolutely great game. I mean, I want to even say overtime, because I think this is going to be a shootout back and forth. JMU is solid. App State has proven themselves week in and week out. So, and one more, Iowa 2-1, Rutgers 3-0. This is football.
That's going to be a knock them down, drag them out kind of game.
This is why I wanted to do this show, because there are some of these games that really they really get overlooked, because we tend to focus on all of the major teams, the Alabamas, the Georgias, Ohio States, USC, not USC recently, but, Oklahoma's, all the perennial favorites. And then you start to get people that's all they want to watch is those type games, but that's not football. Football is these random teams coming out here. The App State scoring 61 points and losing, but then beating ranked Texas A&M.
In their stadium, like
in their house. That's football, ladies and gentlemen, and that's why we do this. So that is my going for 2 today. And ladies and gentlemen, man, Alex, I absolutely love doing this with you, my man.
Oh, yeah.
My heart is smiling, man. My heart is smiling. Yo, we have to let you go. I got to get on the road here in a little bit. I got to take a shower first. We appreciate you being here with us. There's so many games to watch and follow. This week, we are going to try, Alex, it's going to happen. This week, we're going to do the college football update. I'm thinking Tuesday. But I got to do the show. I got to hop on Let's Talk Football the Roundtable. So it might have to be after that. We'll talk.
We'll figure it out. Yeah.
We're going to pick a day. We're going to do it where we're going to recap the games, talk more about the Heisman stuff and any other major stories going on. Kate will be with us when she's not hanging out at the big house, living her best life. And let me tell you, Alex, you got to go. Because Kate, seriously, there's a tailgate that we sit that's right outside the stadium. You would have a blast, man. You would have a blast. So, yo, we are here. I am your boy, Sean Spencer. This is my guy. Yes, sir. Yo, and we will be back with you. Shout out to your teams. Hope they do well. Go blue.
There you go.
They taught me that. But we don't know.
Well, that wasn't at the house.
Okay. Hold up. Yeah, we're good. Yeah. That's what we said. She got me ticked off in the car on the way back. And I'm sitting here like, you know what? Go blue. Let's go. I'm a Wolverine now. Get out of here. But look, we always know there's only one blue in this household. Let's get it. Tar Heel Nation. Yo, but hey, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy your day. We will talk to you a little bit later. Peace.